Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Forrest Walford here, and welcome to another stream where it's just chatting. Literally, just me saying whatever has crossed my mind. Both like mainly before the stream began, as well as anything that crosses my mind as we go along. As you can tell, I do have some tea right here, just in case. I'll probably refill it later, but but either way, we do have some uh, thoughts and opinions I'd like to share with everybody based on certain things. Initially, I was going to do another Grand Theft Auto 5 stream, but then I kept seeing so many things that have crossed my path in some way or another. And so we're going to talk about it. Because said events have crossed my mind. I figured we'd start out with the small thing, with the small issue with the small thing that's been going on. This does involve Grand Theft Auto, namely Grand Theft Auto 6. For those of you that don't know, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been revealed to actually be a thing, finally, from Rockstar. And so it is, so we are expecting a trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 on December 5th, which would be this coming Tuesday, a day that I actually have off, but I don't know what I'll be doing on Tuesday before I'm able to watch that said trailer. And I will at least record a video of my reaction to that trailer because just like so many other people, I've been very interested about it. I've been very anxious, very hyped about it. And as you can tell, I've been playing the crap out of Grand Theft Auto 5 this past. Well, I played it yesterday, and I was going to do it today, like I said, but then things crossed my mind. And so now tomorrow, I will be looking to play that game, regardless of what time I start it, for 4 hours. 2 hours for tonight, 2 hours for tomorrow night, so that's 4 hours. Now, with that being said, I did hear through the grapevine that there was a leak that was going on involving the game, which, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I did not see, but I've heard so many different people talking about these leaks going on. Now, if you guys don't know me, you know. If you guys don't know me, but if you do know me, then you know what I'm about to say. But for those of you that don't know me, I do not like leaks. I hate them with a passion because all they do is just ruin the surprise for anybody that is wanting to know about the game, especially with DLC. They tend to do that a lot with DLC when it comes to leaking stuff. So I try to avoid any kind of thing involving the video game, like the plague, unless it's actually from the people making the game itself that are making an announcement of some sort in regard to said game. I've done it all the time with somebody, like even with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, when that game was releasing content after the game's release. I avoided any kind of leaked information like the play because I wanted to be surprised. Although that, and the same was with the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I was trying so hard to stay away from um, those very leaks that were coming out about it. Specifically, the thing that I kept hearing about mainly with that game, honestly, was Vanilla Lake. It's going to be in the game. How do you know? Well, they have this hint that basically talks about it, right? Like a poster or something like that that was doing it. Um, but yeah, I just generally try to avoid leaks like the plague. But apparently, this leak came from somebody on an account that did not belong to that somebody. So basically, they were trying. It seemed like they were getting some. They were trying to. They unintentionally, intentionally or not, they may have gotten somebody in trouble for doing these leaks. Now I don't know why anybody would even think this is a good idea. I don't even know why, but it's kind of stupid in my book. I hate people. I don't really care for people. Like, I don't hate a person, but I don't really care for anybody that chooses to. I don't really care for leaking stuff. I don't really like that. I'd rather just be surprised because otherwise, what's the point? Why? How? What's the point of trying to have something be a surprise when you're leaking stuff on the internet involving video games or movies or whatever? To me, it's kind of stupid. That's why I. That's why I didn't really watch any of the leaks when Grand Theft Auto 6 had things leaked out on it. I just chose not to watch it. I basically avoided TikTok because that's where I heard that it originated in. It originated from. So I've avoided TikTok today, and I'm probably gonna avoid it up until I watch the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer on December 5th. Uh, Whether I actually watch it at 9 a.m. is a different story altogether, but I do plan on watching it on Tuesday, on the day of its release. At least that much is going to be confirmed. But again, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a live reaction to it or if I'm going to be doing a video reaction to it. It's going to be one of those two on that day. But at the moment, I know I can confirm I will be doing a reaction thing to that. But anyway, I just, anyway, the moral of the story, just don't leak anything. Just stop. It ruins the surprise for just about everybody. Just leave well enough alone and nobody gets in trouble. Just fucking stop. It's not that hard to do. It's just people trying to be crazy. It's it's just crazy, and I don't like it when people leak stuff because, like I said, it ruins the surprise. And people just need to stop doing that. It's not really worth the leaking stuff. Just leave well enough alone. Come on, it's so simple. Uh, but yeah, that's generally what I wanted to talk about for the first bit. I do have a second bit, but this one is much more serious than uh, that whole thing involving uh, leaking a video game or like parts of a video game. This next bit is much more serious than any leak ever. Because I heard on through the grapevine that a VTuber, no, it's not the VTuber that you guys hear me talk about all the time. No, it has nothing to do with that one. But a particular VTuber uh, was doxxed recently. I heard about it today, but I don't know if it happened today or yesterday or early in the last week, at any point in the last week. I don't know, but I heard about it happening today, and I was not happy hearing about it because just like how I am in regard to anybody who dares try to wish death or injury upon another person, I do not ever want, I do not ever think doxing somebody is a good idea. First of all, if I remember correctly, it's against the law to dox somebody. Not as far as I know, it's against the law for that to happen. Um, but at the same time, it's also kind of stupid because you are delving into personal information of of anybody. Anybody that is doxing another person, anybody anybody that gets doxed is gonna have their personal information leaked to that person who's doing the doxing, and that could lead to other serious situations going on, from simple, from simple. blackmail, and I say it does. It's not simple, but you know what I'm saying. It's something like from something like blackmail to a potential stalker on the doxed person's hands. And that's why I don't. And whenever somebody doxes another person, I get upset with that person, but I don't wish them to be doxed. Like, if anything, I feel like they deserve karma for doing what they did, but I don't think they deserve to be doxed because to me, if you're doxing somebody who has doxed other people, to me, you're stooping to their level. That, like, the way, every time when I hear stories about how somebody did something to somebody, like, how somebody did something and then somebody else heard of that story, and so they choose to do that same thing to that person did who did that originally to another person. So like, let me put it to you this way: if person A did something to person B, and person C heard about what person A did to person B, then person C might want to, then person C is just as wrong in doing so as person A. If that makes any sense. I probably misused a lot of words there. But moral of the story, the moral of that story, and I'm going to talk about it a bit more because I still want to do so. Moral of the story is uh, doxing another person who doxed other people is not a good idea because you're delving. Not only are you also breaking the law, if I heard right, if I remember correctly, I do believe doxing somebody is against the law, but you're also stooping to their level. And like, I'll give you guys an example. Anybody that was here at the time when I did so would remember a live stream that I did where I talked about a certain somebody who was revealed to be, I believe it was, uh, I know who I'm thinking of here because I do remember talking about them early in the year. And I'm not going to say their name because I did say after I was done with that I would not say their name after this because I already said my piece. Um, but I remember they did something very, very wrong to by the standard of so many people. It was very, very wrong. But in that stream, I never once wished harm, death, or dox or anybody to dox this person because I don't believe doxing is the right answer. I don't believe any kind of physical harm or doxing somebody, well, specifically doxing somebody, I don't believe that to be the answer. And I don't wish death upon somebody because I don't wish death or injury upon somebody because that's just not who I am. I will voice my opinion on what I believe. Like if I feel like somebody did something very, very wrong, or if I did something, or if I believe, did something very, very wrong, I would, I would let my voice be, I would let my opinion be known, but I would never stoop to the level of wishing death, harm, or doxing, I wouldn't wish death or harm upon that person, nor would I wish for them to be doxed, because that would be stupid on a level that would honestly be in my book would be beneath me to do. That's why I choose not to do it. Now, some people can revel in the fact that, well, oh wow, yeah, he got doxxed. Hell yeah, he got his just desserts. Yeah, anybody believing that about anybody that going through that where they doxed somebody and but yet they ended up getting doxed themselves by somebody else, and people are cheering for that. I just can't get behind it. I really just cannot because because for me personally, doxing is just stupid. Just along the lines of wishing harm or death upon anybody else. It's along that line of stupidity. And so that's why I choose not to do that. Because I know doxing, again, I think doxing is against the law. But also because if I were to wish somebody to be doxed after they doxed somebody else, then I feel like I'd be stooping to that level. And hell, even if I would still say it where if somebody doxed another person because they doxed somebody else, I would look them dead in the eye and say, you are no better than that person. How? Because you did something that they did to somebody else. To me, that does not make you, and I'm saying this generally, not to any audience member out here watching this. I'm just saying this in a general sense. That makes you uh, on that same level as them. But I don't do it as often. I don't care how often you did it. You still did it. So so you are in my book no better than this guy who did it himself before. Because if you're gonna do it to somebody else, you just that's just stupid. And I know some people would say, well, that like if I mentioned a VTuber that wasn't the one that I keep talking about that I've talked about before. Like I know some people would probably randomly come up to my channel, know exactly which VTuber I'm talking about, and say, "Well, that VTuber had it coming." If anybody, and I will say to this, no, he didn't. He deserved karma. Now, this VTuber deserves karma, but not in the form of being doxxed himself. Because, again, that stoops to their level, and I don't like it when people do that to other people. There is no rhyme or reason to dox anybody else. There is no rhyme or reason to wish harm or death upon anybody else. There is no rhyme or reason to swat somebody else. There is no rhyme or reason to do anything that could lead to to any kind of injury or death of another person. Nothing in this there is no kind of karma that deserves that. And like if you're gonna like there's nothing they don't deserve any of that. Not if you're gonna stoop to their level. Now if they get karma up the bum by their own hand, then I will believe it's justified. Like where, let's say, um, let's say for all intents and purposes, a rich person looks toward a homeless person and points at that homeless person and laughs. It says, "Ha ha! You're a homeless person. I'm rich. I got a lot of money on me. Ha!" And then later in life, that rich person is not as rich. Double points if they're all if they became homeless. Then that to me is justice and karma on them. But when you are basically doing something out of revenge for what they've done to other people, in the same way, like you're doxing somebody because they doxed somebody else, that is not justified. That is just revenge. That isn't justified because again, you're stooping to their level when you do that, and I don't like it when people do that. I don't like it when people stoop to the same level of another human being who did something very, very wrong. Because to me, I wouldn't dox anybody. If I had a problem with anybody, I would say it to their face, right? I would be willing to go to that person and voice out my frustrations, my concerns to them. Yeah. I don't know the entire concept of doxing is one of the worst things one can do. There's better ways to put karma on someone who doxed another person. Yeah, so the full context. Actually, I'll say it again for those who just joined in. So the full context is, um, there was a VTuber. I'm pretty sure I know the name of the person, but just like some of the people who've talked about it, I will not say their name. If you know who this VTuber is that got doxxed, then you know. But if you don't, I'm not saying their name. You can probably look it up on social media, because chances are people have said their name on there. But anyway, so what happened was a VTuber got doxxed by somebody. I don't know the name of that person who the doxer, but that person doxed the VTuber because they they doxed another VTuber who has in the past doxed other people. Now people are looking at this in a way it's like the VTuber deserved to be doxxed because they've doxed other people in the past. Others are saying, well, he may be an asshole for doxing other people, but he doesn't deserve to be doxed himself. So it's basically been like a bit of a battleground between whether he deserves to be doxed or not. For me personally, if he doxed other people for absolutely no reason, and as I've said before, there is no reason to dox anybody, then that person is a fucking asshole in that regard. And I apologize for background noise. My dog back there tends to whine at this time of night, even after I let her out to go use the, go out and do her duty, you know, do her business, and then I bring her back in and put her in a cage. She'll still whine about it. Uh, we have to be more careful with that one because that very dog that you're hearing in the background, yeah, she is going through a bit of a phase that we have to try to keep her on a leash whenever we take her outside so that we know other dogs go after her, even our own male dog that we have. But anyway, we're getting off topic. I'm just saying that just so that way if anybody wonders what's going on in the background, you know. But anyway, like I said, I don't believe, but like I said, people were saying how this person had it coming, how he deserved to be doxxed because he doxed other people. But other people were saying, as much as he is an asshole for doxing other people, to he doesn't deserve to be. He didn't. There's no reason to dox him in return. And I would add, and like I said, I would add it one step further and say, if you're gonna dox somebody who's doxed other people in the past, to me, that is stooping to their level. And I don't like seeing people stoop to the level of somebody who they are better than. So I just can't get behind it personally. And I know some people are gonna say, "Well, how can but he did this before," and I'd still say it like, okay, he did it before. All right, he's an asshole for doing it, like I said. But if you're gonna do it to him, are you really any better than him for doing it? You're doing it out of if you're doing it out of revenge, that's some vigilante type of stuff. That is literally some vigilante type of stuff. You think you're doing something for the greater good, most likely. You think you're doing something for the greater good, or you're just doing it just because they did it to other people. It's not worth it. Because again, as far as I know, doxing is illegal. Because you're obtaining something, you're obtaining a person's personal information without their knowledge, no, let alone approval. And again, doxing could lead to some very serious incidents that could happen. It could go from, it could go as something, and I say this in quotations, as small as blackmail to something as so much more serious, like stalking. That's why I don't condone people that dox another person. Because first off, we don't know what the ulterior motive is, and number two, it's illegal, and number three, again, that anybody who does it is no better than the person who they're doxing because that person doxed in the past. I know I've repeated myself like 5 times saying that phrase, but I just want to let it be known. I wanted to emphasize it. I want to emphasize the fact that somebody is being doxxed because somebody, because they doxed them. How hard it is to dox someone, but that time could be spent reporting the person to the authorities or at least to the platform they use. Sure, they may be slow to answer, but that's the right thing to do. Oh, oh yeah. There's also a moment where people have doxed another person because they just don't simply like the person. I don't know if if that's the case here. I just know that they doxed somebody, and people are just saying, "Well, he doxed other people. He got it coming." If and I actually was watching a VTuber news source that was telling me about this on my TV just really before, like earlier in the day, and that's how I found out about it. And as they have put it themselves, well, they actually didn't put it this way, but I will say, if you don't like if there is a specific person that you don't like that is on social media and you know about it, and you've seen them on social media, instead of choosing to dox them, regardless of whatever quote unquote reason you have, the best thing to do, you literally have two other options here if you spot them on social media. First option, mute them. Because if you were to respond to them, they could, I mean, while muting them will still have them respond to you, you won't get any sort of notification from them, from their account. But if you want to, then you could go a whole step further and just straight up block the person. Like, regardless of whatever reason you may have, you can always, and I will say it's the occasional quotation mark for reason on this one because some people may have actual good reasons for it. But then you also have people that don't do it for a good reason. Like, to me, a dumb reason to block somebody is because they have a viewpoint, they share a viewpoint with a group of people that you don't agree with. To me, that's a stupid idea of blocking somebody. But when it's somebody that that has done something very serious in the past, like here recently, I've been hearing about people who are saying to block another person because of either like the main reasons I've heard of this were because they were child predators or they were harassing somebody occasionally on the sexually harassing side of things. Um, things like that. I would block that person. I would honestly report that account to Twitter, like or whatever social media site I see it on, and then after that I would just block the person because no social media site nobody in that level of bullshit should be on social media because while it may not entirely be the case, while it may not entirely be the case, they may have ulterior motives as to being on that social media website. That's why I don't really trust too many people. I don't trust too many people on things like Twitter or Facebook. And why I don't. Speaking of Twitter, I just said I got a notification on Twitter. But anyway, oh wait, hold on, I gotta correct that. X. I got a notification on X, which is still, in my opinion, the worst name of a social media site I've ever heard in my entire life. But it's the worst name I've ever heard of something in my entire life ever since the name of the Beatdown Clan in a wrestling promotion. Also, most platforms can make specific words or sentences, so even if that person you blocked is super famous, you can still be out of the conversation. And the moral of the story is the moral of the story that I have is You know, if you if you don't like somebody, doxing is the worst thing you could do to them. If you don't like a person, just either just mute or block them, and then move on with your life. Because but if they did something really wrong to you or someone you know, then I would say report that account and then block them, and then hopefully Twitter/X makes the right call and suspends and/or for the most serious offenders, uh, takes down their account. That's what I believe. Um, And let's see. Funniest thing about X is that in a recent interview, Elon referred to the page's Twitter. Not even him uses that name. Ah, then what was the point of changing it to X? I wonder. I don't know. But now it makes it more stupid if he's calling it Twitter and not X, and he's the one that changed it to X from Twitter. But anyway, that also brought to mind something that happened on Twitter. I'm only going to talk about it for a brief moment, but I remember uh, talking about somebody, and oh yeah, that fucking graduation of that one person. Who was it? And by graduation, I mean basically a company released a talent because of some rule breaking that was retweeted on Twitter so many times, and people were basically either in awe, and not in a good way, in awe of the situation, or were basically mocking it, making a mockery of it, but also still wondering how they were being this selective on releasing that talent. And I remember and I remember a conversation that I seen on Twitter where people were wondering what happened, and somebody was saying how they should get their. This was before This was before I found out about how that VTuber had an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. For those wondering what an NDA is, but before that, people were saying, "I want to hear her side of the story," because that's how some people are. I'm the type, like someone like me, I'm the type that wants to hear both sides of the story before I make my final judgment. Alright, right? Well, I shouldn't say it right? Because it's true. That's how I am as a person. I want to hear both sides of the story before I make my conclusions, and if I have any questions, I will ask them. Always. Now, that being said, there was, uh, there was also, um, when they were talking about it, this one person was saying how, and I found this very funny to me personally. Not like funny, but just like so funny that I just had the best comeback for them. Um, and I apologize for the background noise. Again, my dog's out there. I let her out before I recorded this, and even after she whines. Even before we let her out, she understandably whines because we haven't let her out after some time. But even after we let her out, she still whines. Like, yeah, I hold on a second. I want to be nice to her, but hold on a second. Anyway, alright. I have returned. Now, what was I talking about before I had to go out there? Oh, fuck. I just had that thought in my head. Now I can't remember what I was talking about. because I had to. Because I didn't. Yeah, because I had to take care of my dog real quick. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it now. Okay, yeah. So, what was? So yeah. So people were. Hold on. I actually. I'm pretty sure I can find it here. Hold on a second here. Actually, I could just find it like this here. Oh, jeez, I still think there was a dumb message on that one. Where is it? Was it this one?
Nope.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, yeah. That I'm looking on the YouTube real quick just to find out the name. It was and I apologize if I butcher this person's name. But
Nation.
it was real. I don't like mispronouncing names, so I apologize if I do. Riro Ron. Yeah, that was the name. Riro Ron. Yeah, this person was terminated from from Idol because of a multitude of different reasons, and so many people were they basically were quote retweeting it and were either in awe or they were just mocking about how somebody would get terminated for the reasons that they described. Specifically, the very last bit here. The very last bit saying, conducting a secretive relationship with a member of the management team who has also been terminated upon confirmation of these details. Yeah, that very last bit got so many other people because of whatever reason that they had. Um, but yeah, I remember somebody was saying how, yeah, that's who it was. Okay. And so, um, I'm
Made.
gonna go ahead. Thank you, False ID, for letting me use your video, even though you don't know I'm doing it. But anyway, shout out to False ID. Check this man out if you want VTuber news to watch. But anyway, I'm just shouting him out so that way he doesn't come at me later. But anyway, so uh, because of that, somebody was. I was saying how. Could you imagine if False ID was watching this after I say that? I'd be funny. That'd be very hilarious. But anyway, so people talking about were talking about that, and I remember some people were wanting to hear. Some people wanted to hear their side of the story. And when I say their, I mean the VTuber side of the story. And this one dude says how hearing her side of the story would mean nothing just because, like, her story is not credible. That person's story was not credible just because, quote, she was a lolly. Now, I'm not gonna start no shit on lollies. If you like them, you like them. If you don't like them, you don't like them. We're not starting that argument here. I'm just saying what was said to me, alright? What was said. And I looked at that and I said, wow, you just showed how one sided you are. Because you're gonna try to downplay somebody's side of the story just because, well, they're a lolly. It doesn't matter if they're a lolly or not in this situation. It doesn't matter what kind of VTuber they are. What matters is hearing their side of the story, right? That's what I would think. I wouldn't, in that situation, I wouldn't, like, regardless of my personal opinion on lollies, regardless of that, if they if they are able to tell their side of the story, I want to hear the other side of the story if I hear one side. And then I'm like, okay, I want to hear the other side now. And if they tell it, I want to hear it. So, like I said, I don't give a hoot and holler what kind of YouTuber they are. I want to hear their side of the story if I could in this situation. But again, because they made an NDA with the company, they can't really say anything about it publicly, or with other people. So they're in a they're currently stuck right now, as far as that goes. But yeah, I just don't like it when people do that as well. I hate it when people say, "Well, this person, this person is like this, so their story is irrelevant. It doesn't matter." To me, it's very stupid when people are willing to hear one side of the story, but they don't ever want to hear the other side. For God knows what reason they do that all the time. Like it's either possibly a case of favoritism where you want to listen to, see here, wanting to hear both sides of history is a bit common sense that is lacking on some people, but at least it seems like it is in the minority, and it was the minority in this case. Yeah, some people like myself, I would rather do prefer to hear both sides of the story and not just one side and not the other. Because, like, I won't say any names and I won't say what happened, but here recently, last week, again, I'm not going to say anything about what happened because that is between these two people. But I'm gonna say, uh, that there was a situation that happened between two people that I supported, and at that time, and I still do, in my own way, uh, have supported both people that were involved in that situation. I listened to both sides of the story because that's, again, I've said it to both of them, that that's just how I am, and I was 100% brutally honest with them. Again, I'm not saying any names and I'm not going to talk about the situation because that situation is between those two parties, and what I've said here is all you're going to get from me. If you want to know about more about it, you're going to have to find the original sources because I am not saying a damn thing here. And I'm not even going to voice my opinion on it because, like I said, I've said it to both of them and I'm leaving it at that, okay? I'm just saying this just for the sake of context, in that I have seen people that have talked to on one side, but I'm not 100% sure if they listened to the other side as well as the one side, or if they were just picking favorites. It could be a case of where they didn't listen to one side, where they did listen to one side, but they at the time did not listen to another, or it could be possible they're playing favorites. Or if you're someone like me who heard both sides of the story, you probably wanted to hear it and was willing to voice your opinion on both sides, regardless of the outcome of what could happen between you and that other person. That's all I'm saying. And that's the only thing I'm going to be bringing up on that one. And if people know what I'm talking about, well, they know what I'm talking about. But if they don't, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not going to say anything about it at all, period. So like I said, if you want to know more about what I was talking about, you're going to have to find a good hard look at it because reasons. Because out of respect for both parties, I just refuse to talk about it in detail. Because that is between them and not me. And it's not my place to talk about it. Alright? We're all in agreement with that. I hope. But yeah, the moral of the story is, uh, yeah, but like was just said, uh, if you're gonna listen to a story by one person, you better be getting the story from all parties involved. Otherwise, you are making yourself look like you're favoring somebody, like one person out of the whole party. Or you could be where you're not picking sides, but you do want your voice to be heard in regard to the situation because you know both parties and you want to say something to them and hope that they understand that you don't mean to pick sides, but you do want to voice your 2 cents on the situation. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying here on that one. I hope anybody watching this live or in the VOD do. But yeah, so that is all I could really think about talking about tonight. Uh, because, well, truth be told, these were the only 2 things I was thinking about talking about. The the leaking of the Grand Theft Auto 6, like bits and pieces of it that were leaked earlier this week. Like it was either earlier today or yesterday or whatever. It was earlier this week, that for sure. As well as talking about how doxing somebody is not the fucking answer. Period. Never was, never will be. Just stop doing it. I may also hear it's late, so I'm gonna be ending this stream soon anyway. So because I think I've talked about all that I want to talk about. Because there's really nothing else going on in the world of the internet that interests me right now currently. Um, so yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. If anybody wishes to add their 2 cents to what I've had to say, you are more. You have all the. You have. You are in. You. I honestly welcome it. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. If you want me to be if you want some that's all I ask. Just be respectful with whatever comments you choose to make on this video. Because if I don't Ah yes. You know what? I want to say this real quick. So, if you guys I will say this real quick. If you guys don't remember, will you play a Yu-Gi-Oh game in the future? Oh, I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy the Duelist Link Evolution recently. But you actually just made me think of something that I might talk about a little bit here. If for those of you that don't know, that wasn't there, I made a live stream talking about like showing off 3 new structure decks that I got recently. And then I said I did something here. I do want to announce real quick a little bit more detail about it. I now have, and I'm not kidding here when I say this, I have currently 10 separate decks. Okay? This includes this one right here that I might whittle it down to 40 I might whittle it down to be in an equal match with all the other decks. But I have 10 decks, 9 structure decks, and 1 self-made deck that I made up for myself after the booster box opening of the Volcanic Overload booster box pack. you guys want to check that out, I might post a link to it in the description of this video. When it goes live, I might put it in the description. But yeah, so let me put it to you this way, alright? So I have 10 decks. We got the Volcanic Overload deck, which I made here on my own. We have the Saga of Blue Eyes White Dragon structure deck. We have the Dark World structure deck. Rise of the Crystal Beast structure decks. Oh yeah, I also wanted to show this too. This deck, I got this at Walmart some weeks ago. You want to know the worst part about this deck that I have? Let me show you something here. Let me find them real quick before I reveal all the rest of the other decks, because I just could not believe this. Even if I bought this deck for like $9 because it was on sale for that price, and the box inside itself was damaged, which, sometimes might happen, sometimes might not. Oh, that one's the worst one there. I'm just showing off the ones with the major bits that I'm thinking of showing here real quick. Let's see. Yeah, that one's. Sure, we'll show that. Why not? So yeah, let me show you something here. I want you guys to see this and tell me. When you look at the back of these with these cards, I apologize for that light right here. I wish I could block it out, but I can't. But yeah. Yeah, I found these cards. This one was the worst one, by the way. Now, I was thinking like I can understand the box being damaged because, sometimes that can happen. But these cards were wrapped in a they were wrapped in plastic casing. Like they were wrapped in plastic. They were literally like this in plastic wrap. What happened to these cards to be that damaged? I just did not get it. I seen that for the first time and I was like, wow, really? Look, I could understand the box sometimes being damaged because, things happen. But how do damaged cards end up being shipped out to stores and whatnot? I was almost tempted to look on Amazon and get some fresher cards at the very least. Just get another deck of Crystal Beast cards, and if they're not damaged, replace them with the damaged ones. You know what I mean? Yeah, I remember that. What else we got? Oh yes, this one was the deck I was looking forward to actually. The Dragons Collide deck right here. You can't see it, but I got the Dragons Rise deck, the Dragons Collide deck, the Crimson King deck, the Cyber Strike deck. Let's see, what's this other deck? Oh yeah, the Spirit Charmers deck, as well as the Beware Trap Tricks deck and the Mechanized Madness deck. I have 9 structure decks and one self-made deck on this thing. And I actually went to Walmart earlier today And I found these, and I know chances are they're a scam, whatnot, but you know, I do that. Um, but I found those mystery box, uh, the big mystery box things, as in where they came with a multitude of different Yu-Gi-Oh packs, a structure deck, and things and such of that nature. I'm honest, I know it's likely a scam bullshit, right? But I'm honestly tempted to get a couple of those boxes just to see what's inside them. And if the structure decks were something that I already have, because like I said, I have 9 structure decks. 9 of them. I don't think, I mean, I don't really need any more, but, you know, it doesn't hurt to have more, you know? But yeah, so what I'm doing, but yeah, with those 9 structure decks and one self-made deck, uh, which is filled with the self-made deck being filled with nothing but fire type monsters or fire attribute monsters. Um, I'm actually doing a thing where it's like your traditional sports game. You know, your traditional sports like football, American or soccer if you want to call it that. Soccer slash football, American football, baseball, basketball, hockey, you know, things like that, how they have a season. I'm actually thinking about doing that with these decks right here. All I would really need would be another way to like record the videos because I would probably be using the phone that I'm using to record this as a means to keep track of the life points counter because I do have a life points counter app on my phone here, but use that as a means to do that sort of thing. I'd also would need a playmat because, dude, this table right here has some stickiness to it, and you know I'm not gonna put my cards, any of my deck of cards, on a sticky table. So I'm gonna need like a playmat for a Yu-Gi-Oh playmat for the. I mean, yeah, I know I technically do because you know these structure decks came with. You know the structure decks did come with um, the playmats, but those are the paper ones. And I don't even know how I can flatten them out to get them to work with me, so they don't mess up, you know, things like that, right? Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to figure that out. But in any event, that is gonna do it for me. But yeah, that's gonna happen. But yeah, hold on. I'm getting my thought process mixed up here right now. Still talking about the thing going on here. You can stick them with tape so they stay still. Yeah, that's true, but I don't know if that would be a good idea because I don't know if that would damage them, and I don't want to damage them. But anyway, or at the very least, just try to flatten them out and then just put something on the sides of them so that way they don't do anything right. But anyway, either way, so the thing that I'm saying here is that with these 10 decks, my self-made one and the 9 structure decks, I am going to be doing a whole season, a whole like game season. These videos will be pre-recorded, so and they will be more premiere videos. So I'll be doing these on my off time, so that way when I'm ready to do this season and I announce when that's going to actually happen, we can start watching these premiere videos uh, and uh, and yeah, so here's the whole gist of it. We have a whopping 10 decks, like I said, like 5 times now. We have 10 decks, and so we're doing a thing where each week is going to consist each week of the season, and there's going to be how many seasons did I put on there? I'd have to look back. Actually, hold on a second. Come on, where is it? There it is. I had to look at my thing here. while I know people would traditionally think there's going to be a few more weeks in this, there's actually going to be 15 weeks of these decks being used, for these decks to be played with. And so how it is where there's going to be. Let me look again. Got it. Okay, yeah, I looked at it again. I had to look at it again because while I just looked at it, I couldn't remember. So there's going to be 13 weeks of the full season, followed by 2 weeks of like the semifinals and then the finals. So basically, it'd be where 13 weeks of each deck doing their thing, right? And whichever the top four decks, whichever the top four decks would go on to week 14, and where the number one ranked and the number four ranked would face off, whereas the number two and three ranked would face off, and kind of like how football does its thing there, I guess you could say it, with their semifinals before the Super Bowl. Like the championship games, so to speak. And then the two decks that won their respective games would face off for that season. And then on the week after that, which would be week 16, the team that had the worst win loss record in that season, I have looked at all of these decks with their with the booster packs, the TCG, the TCG stuff, like the booster boxes kind of thing. I looked up those based on what was said about which ones, like what the you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Kind of like what I said with Volcanic Overload, like like that, how that was a booster box, like the name, like those things, expansion packs. That's what I'm thinking of. So that way, so I looked up the expansion packs of each deck that was said to work better, to work well with them. Uh, and so what I would do is like I would make a poll based on those expansion packs, and whichever one out of those ones that were selected, that were picked from that were recommended for that deck, whichever one won that poll, I would get, and then use it on that to help improve it. And whichever cards I had left over, I would add to the other decks in case I felt like it would be good for them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the gist of it. I pretty much explained the tournament, the thing that I've got planned with these 10 decks. But soon, at some point, I will reveal when that season will start. But for now, I will be recording these videos behind the scenes. Hopefully, I have enough data to deal with this. But yeah, either that or I'll do them live. I don't know. We're doing it one way or the other. But in any case, that is all I'm gonna say about that for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think my phone. I don't know, but yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my talk. Whether you agreed with me or not with what I had to say, I still hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, if you have any other comments that you would like to share in regard to what I've said, uh, that man, stay humble. Have a great night. You as well, Jose. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a good rest of your night as well. But yeah, so yeah, if you have any comments about what I've said, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section below. I just ask that you be respectful in the comments. I will not tolerate any kind of tomfoolery. I know that's a British sounding word, but I'm still saying it anyway, tomfoolery. Good night, looking up to those duels. Alright. You as well, another not baka. I know what that word means, and no, nope. You are not another baka. Nope, not at all. You're probably a good person, not a baka. And if anybody says you are, eh, they don't know what's going on there. But anyway, Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night, day, evening, your morning, noon, afternoon, night, evening, night, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you guys have a good day. And until next time, tomorrow night, I'll be going live with Grand Theft Auto 5. Like I said, I was going to do, I'll be playing 4 hours of the game instead of 2 to make up for tonight, as well as the 2 for tomorrow. So yeah, if you're in a GTA 5, there's that for you. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And until then, this is Forrest Walpole signing off.